Good evening.
Good evening, America.
Or good morning.
Good morning, America. Good evening, good morning around the world. We know.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning. So, welcome to our two Brits.
We are two Brits.
We are two Brits.
We're also two twits.
We're twits. And we are so plugged in to what is going on out in America for you lovely lot, whatever side you're on. Because there really is just two sides.
Well, apart from when Trump's side comes onto the lives or comments afterwards.
No, but that's what I mean. There's no middle road. You're either MAGA or you're not MAGA. Yeah. There's nowhere in between.
Okay, so how successfully do you think we're managing to mine a sort of furrow down the middle in, neither anti-Trump, pro-Trump? What would you say we are?
I'm 100% anti-Trump.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
So 100% unvarnished.
And 100% anti-Vance.
Yes.
As I think all of Great Britain are at this very moment.
Yeah, I would say so. I think his comments about our vets.
Yeah, there's nobody that's even the most extreme, like
you don't
reform
criticize.
Ain't gonna want to,
You don't throw shade on veterans of any hue.
Any country. Mind you, they are in their own country, aren't they? In America,
we're so plugged in. We have Donald J. Trump's Truth Social live feed.
We're even waiting
into our phone
for Hot Truths because he's upgraded.
Well, no, he hasn't upgraded, but like on X, you have trending or hot trending. They have hot truth.
So truth. It's so
truthful,
that it's buzzing.
Yeah. I'm wearing my, do you like my cap? Check it out.
Tasmanian devil?
Yeah.
Whip, whip.
Was that right?
Yeah, come on.
Wacky races and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump gave his speech to Congress. He's going to be delighted because just 2 minutes before we went live, he got more viewers than Biden did for his.
And as we know,
and betterly already.
He is literally 7 years old. So this will be a big thing. It'll be bigly.
Yeah, so we're going to show a few clips from that. A couple of odd moments and odd decisions made there. I'm going to show you some photos too. We're going to talk about the controversy, the drama that was created by JD Vance, suggesting that some 2-bit country that's not been to war in some years might throw 20,000 troops into some kind of Ukraine. Anyway, very dismissive about our country's war efforts in the past.
No, because don't forget, it's not us, apparently.
Well, exactly. Who was he talking about?
Backpedaling very badly.
We're going to talk about tariffs. For those of you who have a hot crush on Justin Trudeau, though his support of Israel really made him look very unattractive to me.
It gave us all the ick.
Yeah, but he pushes back on tariffs. So we're going to talk about tariffs. And earlier this evening, whilst we were talking to Nadia's parents, they were over for dinner. A rather arresting headline landed in the Daily Mail saying, "We are prepared for war with China." Okay, so it's like...
This is Pete Hegsmith, right?
Hegsmith, yeah. It was just as soon as you feel like you've got a grip on the news and we have a running order, and we have clips, and we've been harvesting links all week and Instagram posts, and suddenly a piece of news lands that just kind of blows everything away.
This is the defense secretary that is the defense secretary because President Trump used to love watching him on Fox News.
Can I just ask this tattoo on his chest? It's not a okay. Look, for those of you who get a little hot under the collar, it's not a swastika. No. But it's a very Germanic-looking cross.
Am I right? Was he not politely asked to leave the army due to it?
I think so.
Yes.
I think
so. So now he's defense secretary, and he's saying we're ready for war.
Not only saying we're ready for war, we're prepared for war. All peace. Very odd. Well, we're going to play you the quote. There's a moment in it which doesn't make any sense, but then so much of what's happening in America doesn't make any literal sense. I mean, I think a lot of Americans who are behind Trump and Vance go, it makes total sense. But when you actually look at what's being said, it's nonsensical.
ZJK says, good evening, ZJK. It's allegedly a white supremacist symbol. That's what we've heard.
Didn't really want to say it myself, ZJK, so thank you very much for saying it. So what I'm going to do, we're going to tease you into some of this. We're going to bumble you in. So let's have a look at some of the images of Trump's congressional speech.
Can we just read Gabrielle? I caught a clip of Trump's speech to Congress. He's actually sounding like a very good impersonation of himself. If that makes any sense. No, it does make sense.
Totally does. Totally does. So there was a lot of upset and a lot of anger on both sides of the House from Democrats. It was a very odd image. Let me show you the images of the Democrats. They say, no kings live here. What's this holding up of paddle boards?
Because they're not allowed... Because in our House of Commons, but I don't think, correct us if we're wrong, if there's an American here, I don't believe you're allowed to do that in America.
No, but what can I just ask though? So they've got paddle boards or table tennis rackets that have statements on them. But each time I've seen them used, they have such tailored statements. So it can't be a traditional thing. Otherwise, you're constantly changing the words on it.
No, I think this was a planned demonstration, wasn't it? Because I think as soon as these T-shirts were shown, they then walked out because maybe they would have been thrown out.
Right. Okay. Well, there's so there was a lot of news, and there's Elon Musk. I
think that has to be the headline, doesn't it? He's put on a suit and a tie.
Yes. What's very important, and he's had a haircut.
It's probably. I mean, let's face it. Trump and Vance find the suit and tie more important than world peace.
Donald Trump's tie, I don't know if you've noticed.
Not talking about Donald Trump, talking about Zelensky.
No, but reaches all the way down to his knees. It's a long tie.
I bet he can't tie his own tie.
Oh, I bet he can't. I bet his hands are quite small, aren't they? So yes, look, there's Elon Musk looking incredibly... quite dapper, quite smart, suddenly very conservative.
Who is it? Somebody on the bulwark today said there he was up on the balcony looking down like he was a beater.
Yeah, very funny.
Tim Miller on the bulwark. On the
bulwark. Okay, well, let's have a listen to some of what Trump had to say.
Back.
Oh, that's
longest speech in congressional history.
What is wrong with them?
This is not normal.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat.
Those of you listening, this is Al Green, who's the Texan Democrat senator who's saying to Donald Trump, you have no mandate. And if you see this woman in the white on the bottom right, so vociferous in her point.
She's wearing the white dress that notice for Trump. They're all artists.
They're over there, paddleboard.
Once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do.
What? The narcissism is quite extreme.
What can I do to make you stand up and give me applause? He's actually...
Or to laugh.
He wants them to laugh, stand up. But
I look
So in some of the in one of the more unusual moments of the congressional speech, I'm gonna play this to you. He explains it himself. This very strange thing happened that in fact Senk said was a good move. So check this out.
Shouting to the president.
Oh no, where have I got it? Oh no, did I delete it? Oh, how annoying.
Is it the one with Al being removed?
No, let me play that whilst I find the other clip. This is the one of Al being removed.
Mandate. I said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt. And we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people. I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
Good.
I thought it was an
Good.
astonishing.
But you
powerful.
know, apparently, again, on the bulwark today, somebody that was on there that was there said that there was the woman who was near him, sat near him, as the security guard came over after Vance had signaled him to have him thrown out. She said to him, "Don't hurt him."
Yeah.
And he said, "I won't, but I've got to remove him." I thought, my God, is that where we're at? Don't hurt him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Reese, you're absolutely right. The article of impeachment that Al said he's going to draft in relation to Trump is so futile, and unfortunately, the old guard traditionalist thinking is what will keep Dems stuck in a rut. I entirely agree, and I think we were only talking this evening to Nadia's parents. I call it the Pelosi push. The fevered, frenzied desire of the higher echelons, the Democratic Party, to want to see Trump brought to justice, when in matter of fact, we could have avoided this entire presidency if they just left him to wilt without any attention. He's a narcissist and he deserves zero. The only way you deal with narcissism is give them zero oxygen. And they gave him so much oxygen. As soon as those court cases landed, I said it, you guys who've been following us on Coffee Moaning, our daily chat, I've been saying for years, we will rue the day the Democrats went for him so heavily. And many people do
say that.
Yeah.
He thinks he's projecting strength. This is Liz D. So even people who criticize him must secretly respect and admire him. Yeah, that's what he thinks.
But we are in a new era of strong leadership. I mean,
hang on, can we be careful with the word strong?
No.
Dictatorship.
A perception of what, well, a lot of people in America, I beg to differ, would argue that the way he's being is strong in the face of tradition, strong in the face of, whether we like it or not, diversity. He's being strong. I'm not saying it's a virtue, but he's showing bullying strength. You can be strong and not right. And I mean, even down to Starmer's
bullying, I prefer.
Starmer's popularity is going through the roof. And I think,
because in times of war, people's popularity, and that's what that's where he's taking us.
I found the clip that I wanted to play you. This was another odd moment, kind of sweet, obviously, in its own way, but a curious moment.
To the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
This is the moment the head of the Secret Service is pulled into her head. Now, it's interesting because, Cenk, who is one of the co-presenters on The Young Turks, he was talking about how that was a very shrewd move by Trump. But of course, an incredibly sweet. But yes, I mean, when your dad was telling you that story earlier, you thought he'd gone mad. A 13-year-old had been made.
I thought my dad was having a 92-year-old moment. I was like, oh, yes, okay. And then they were saying, you mean Pete Segsmith? I always get his name wrong. You mean Pete Segsmith?
No.
And he went, no. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. The 13-year-old boy is the defense secretary.
But like Donna Lefield says, they cut cancer research just days before because Elon said it was a waste.
Thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
You know,
so but what he does is he gives his golden moments, doesn't he?
Yes.
He gives the R moments.
Yeah.
Apparently, he spent longer talking about the problem of the sports and trans people. He gave longer to that than he did the economy. You know, I mean, he stood there for 90. What was it? 90 minutes?
It's the longest congressional speech.
Well, that's what dictators always do, don't they? People are just like, I mean, I wonder if old Al there was just trying to get out of there, actually.
Okay, if I was to ask
maybe
you
he was the shrewdest guy there. He was, I've got to get the hell out of here. I can't listen to any more of this.
We've got a lot of clips and bits and bobs here, but what has been rattling your cage most?
Omar, all of it.
But where's your sort of hotspot, if you like, your fear? Is there a part of what's going on?
My genuine fear is World War III.
Right.
That's my big number one fear. My number one hope is that I think Europe and the rest of the world, a bit like when I say to friends of mine that I think over the years that I think of should leave who they're with, and I always say to them, you think you haven't got the strength to leave because you're using all your strength to stay. And I think Europe is feeling that. They're looking and go, okay, we can't rely on America anymore. America is not our friend, not America and the Americans, but the you know, Trump and his crowd and Project 25, they're all in the back room, aren't they? Just like sorting all the shit out. The fact that he is now Russia, you say Russia, you say America, you say America, you say Russia, they are entwined, and Russia is a great threat to Europe. We now have to stand on our own 2 feet completely. But I don't know how we do that because I don't know enough about geopolitics. But just as me, just sitting here listening to it all as a civilian, yeah, as an earthling, I that's what I feel. Whether that's at all possible, whether that's an insane thing to say, that's what I feel.
Well, I like that analogy. We were talking about this before we went live. Really, the analogy is a divorce proceedings. It is like the rest of the world.
We might not want the marriage to break up, but we have to face they don't want us anymore.
Yeah,
and we have to believe that we have the strength.
Now, can I just this shouldn't actually be devil's advocacy. Because if Obama was very outspoken about not being particularly into Europe or Britain, I don't know if you remember, when Brexit happened, he was about to just sort of like throw us off, sell us off down the Swanee. America's introspection and American isolationism is nothing new. And I was saying again tonight, me and Teddy were talking about it. I do think the thing that we're struggling with, re-Trump, is that he is the most unvarnished version of what America has actually always been. I can't remember who it was who was talking about it over the last 24 hours, but someone was I was reminded on the radio that really America was a reluctant, partner, or was reluctant to get involved in World War I. It was reluctant. It was drawn into World War II with, when you dig into the history, do you remember? Very controversial when you look into the history of what happened with Pearl Harbor and how Churchill needed Pearl Harbor to happen to draw America into the World War. So they've always been a reluctant participant. They've never been sort of front and center, which kind of in a minute makes...
But they believe that they believe that they are, believe that all the way through they've been the ones and nobody could cope. And that's why I loved what Rory and
we're going to go to that. Yeah, absolutely. But I just want to say this one thing. How much of it is our fault for just leaning on something we've expected to be there all the time? How much of this are we not liking because it's Trump
and this
doing
special relationship?
But how much of it is it that are we not liking because it's Trump delivering the message?
Is this the way the messages have always been sent, but just behind the doors? Have we always just been, is it always been the bully boy? We don't know.
Because
well, no, I mean, certainly Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell,
who run The Rest is Politics.
The Rest is Politics. There is a Rest is Politics USA and a Rest is Politics here. Rory, who is, I'm reading it here, British academic, broadcaster, writer, former diplomat and politician. He is a professor at Yale University. He's an incredibly smart man. He's fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, And Alistair Campbell is
he was
spin
Tony
doctor.
Blair's most senior spin doctor. I mean, to be honest with you, I've grown to like Alistair Campbell over the years because I couldn't fucking stand him when he was in the Tony Blair government.
I like listening
and
to
I
both.
found him. I personally think he was single-handedly responsible for one of the dodgiest dossiers in British global history.
Say that after a few drinks.
Yeah, well,
Dodgy.
but it's weird that it's interesting that I find him now unpacking all of the kind of lies and all the spin when he spun the most egregious lie that led to some of the most devastating disruption in the Middle East. So I always struggle to get on board with them, but listening to them again tonight, like Nadia says, they are incredibly great. You know, very clever observers and analyzers.
Yeah, and they are, and you know, and they go and check out the whole. This was a live they did earlier today. Is it Wednesday? I think earlier today. So you can check out the whole live there. They're great to follow. So we just took a little snippet from it.
Well, I'm going to play the snippet. I just want to lead into it because they're back referencing JD Vance, aren't they? So I'm just going to play you the JD Vance quote.
And here, I mean, I don't know if Americans realise just how angry people are here and upset by what.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the interview in which JD Vance with Fox News, is it Hannity? Is that his name? He made the fateful comments this week about a so-called country, country that hasn't been to war for so many years.
Judy 1960.
That the minerals deal would have provided the monies to rebuild their country and a strong U.S. presence and maybe European troops as well.
And this is an important part of it. The president knows that, look, if you want real security guarantees, if you want to actually ensure that Vladimir Putin does not invade Ukraine again, the very best security guarantee is to give Americans economic upside in the future of Ukraine. That is a way better security guarantee than 20,000 troops from some random country that hasn't fought a war in 30 or 40 years. The security guarantee and also the economic guarantee for Ukraine is to rebuild the country and ensure that America has a long-term interest. You're not going to do that if you come to the Oval Office, insult the president, and refuse to follow his plan.
And that's all these Fox. They just keep doing these interviews with people that lick arse.
So, of course, he's now tried to dial that back and say he wasn't in any way referring to Britain. Of course, the UK, understandably, and many of our allies, you know, who fought in Afghanistan, fought in Iraq, have pushed back on this, sort of saying, you know, what kind of fucking nonsense is this? So it's off the back of that quote. We're going to go to Rory and Alistair. I just wanted to read what Reece said as well. Alistair Campbell seems to have emerged more brighter in later years than Tony Blair. Is virtually spat on anywhere he goes. Yeah, I agree. So you're now going to watch a brief clip which kind of back references that quote from JD Vance.
As a step towards security guarantees. So the sequencing, if you're reading that letter and think, oh, well, that's the order in which this goes, but no, not necessarily. So if I'd have been an American, I wouldn't have been quite so cocky. Also, by the way, Roy, I was talking to Pat Kenny on Irish radio today, and he said, I hadn't heard this, but he said that there's talk this week of a meeting in the White House with Trump, Zelensky, Macron and...
Wrong clip.
Let me just put in my last thing there. Quit playing Trump's game. Stop it. Trump could not have been clearer for more than a decade that he believes Putin's line on Ukraine. We are humiliating ourselves again and again, bending over backwards, begging, giving him exactly what he wants, which is that he just feels he can demand anything at the moment from people. We're abandoning Canada and not stepping up for what should be one of our closest allies in the world. We are about to give away $500 billion of Ukraine's mineral resources, and there is nothing coming in return. Nothing. And at some point, this optimism bias needs to be challenged. And at some point, this desperate spectacle of leaders turning up to flatter Trump, believing somehow this is the last chance saloon. You know, I talked to you about this awful briefing against Zelensky. You know, Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, criticizing him, people saying immediately afterwards he didn't quite wear the right clothes. All of this tying in to the Catty K mooch story that, oh, it's very obvious what needs to happen. Zelensky just needs to apologize, go on Fox News, humiliate himself. And then what? And the answer is exactly nothing.
Yeah.
I mean...
Okay, so sorry about that. It was the wrong clip. But I think what he was saying there was kind of tangentially related to the Ukraine clip. It's like, know what is the solution in Ukraine and what is happening in the world. I mean, we are seeing every world leader, apart from actually, I think Macron tonight in his address to his nation, to France, has clearly stated we must now assume that America is no longer working with us. Yeah. I think Starmer is still in this kind of slightly petrified state of believing he can hold together some kind of loyalty and meaning. And he can bridge the divide between Zelensky. All Trump's interested in from Zelensky is, yes, he's had the apology. Yes, he's gone on Truth Social saying, right, got it, it's good, I'm pleased, okay. But all he's interested in, how much money can he get out of Ukraine? How can he carve up Ukraine between him and Putin? And how can he essentially...
Can you actually believe that we're talking about that? That America carving up with Putin?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just extraordinary.
So France tonight, this is big news tonight. And weird, this is really weird. It is in French, and I'm just going to play it because if you can bear with me, I don't know how many people who do speak French. I'm sure some do.
But just quickly before that, the clip that we were going to show you, they were very cleverly listing the thousands upon thousands of troops from around the world that over 20 years stepped up to the plate for America after 9/11. And, 10,000 Brits went to Afghan and they were on a cycle. So every 6 months they needed to replace 100,000 Brits in Afghan fighting for America's insane foreign policy. This is what a lot of vets have been saying today. We have gone all over the world fighting America's insane policies. How dare this uneducated upstart dismiss all those people? And Rory is very strong on that. He remembers when he was in Afghan and when he was in Iraq, and it's a disgrace to the people that lost their lives. And he was talking about how some of them lost their lives through friendly fire from the Americans. So, I think Vance should go away and have a little read up, possibly.
But they're not interested. But for saying they have a whole social media website called Truth Social, they're not interested in the truth.
And then what they do is they go on to a show like Fox that just validates all the non-truths. Yeah. And then they walk away there with a spring in their step, ready to do the dirty the next day as well. Absolutely. But go and watch that. Watch them. They're great.
Yeah, no, they are great. I do want to play you this again. As I say, it's not because it's in French. I can't do a running translation. So if you're watching and you're not listening, you'll see the subtitles at the bottom. There's something really chilling about this tonight. Macron, and I do think that in a weird way, Starmer needs to do something similar for the British population.
Because I do think Macron, because look, when there's hint of war, don't all leaders want the glory? They all want their people to see them to step up there and be strong, whatever that means. Yeah. And so I think, I said to Mark, I reckon Macron's one of those that all the other European leaders go, oh, here we go again, shoving his way. Oh, look, here he goes with his little elbows.
With his hands everywhere.
With his little elbows, just like sticking. Oh my God, I still love that clip of him holding Trump's hand. No. And Trump fighting to get his hand away.
But he has addressed.
But he shoved himself right to the front.
Anyway, let's have a read of what he has to say.
En effet, je le sais, légitimement inquiet devant les événements historiques en cours qui bouleverse l'ordre mondial. La guerre en Ukraine, qui a entraîné près d'1 million de morts et de blessés, continue avec la même intensité. Les États-Unis d'Amérique, notre allié, ont changé leur position sur cette guerre, soutiennent moins l'Ukraine et laissent planer le doute sur la suite. Dans le même temps, les mêmes États-Unis d'Amérique entendent imposer des tarifs douaniers aux produits venant d'Europe. Au total, notre prospérité et notre sécurité sont devenues plus incertaines. Et il faut bien le dire, nous rentrons dans une nouvelle ère.
And we are now in a new era.
Now, what's most significant about this is, okay, it's not just Macron, he of the handy, and the leader of France. France is one of the, if not the leading nuclear armed nation in Europe. You rightly mentioned it earlier, Michub. He is talking about expanding the nuclear deterrent. Obviously, France has nuclear deterrents, nuclear warheads, to defend and protect France. But he's talking about extending that protection to countries like Germany, who still, since post-war agreements, haven't militarized in the same way. So we're looking at the leader of one of, if not the leading nuclear power in Europe, saying we are entering a new era. And I think the fact that he states America is no longer on board really with Ukraine, that we have a new era, is the kind of thing that I think Starmer needs to sit down and say something similar to British people. Because I think the vast, I hate to say it, too many people in this country aren't interested. And it's going to bite many people on the arse when it suddenly not only becomes interesting, but becomes life-changing, all of this. Europe is on its own. America is not interested.
What about that incredible stat that Rory said today? That Britain's GPD is larger than Russia's. I always assumed Russia was very...
Yeah, that's phenomenal detail.
And that Europe together, I can't remember what
as a United States of Europe, we've never so more wanted nor needed to be part of Europe than we do right now. We really, really do. Me too, correct, because UK's nukes are not the UK's, they're American controlled. And that Trident, etc., they are American facilitated. And we have a much more sinister thing that's happened tonight. America has stopped sharing all American intelligence about Russian military maneuvers. So Ukraine is now essentially operating blind on the ground. They don't know what the Russians are doing in Russia in their offensive.
What a strange thing to do.
The problem with that is not only has America prevented Ukraine from having their intelligence, it means that America has prevented Ukraine from having our intelligence because we share intelligence with America.
So Ukraine basically don't know what the hell's going on.
So Ukraine have got clue what's going on.
And then America's publicised it, so Russia knows.
Yeah, and not just that. We're still, even though Zelensky has quickly penned an apology and said, look, I'll come over and make good.
No, he's not apologised.
No, he hasn't apologised. He regrets what happened.
Thank God he didn't
but here's the thing. America has still put a stop or a pause on all Ukrainian military aid and support.
Do you know why I'm so glad that he hasn't apologised? Because I agree with the brain of Britain, Rory Stewart, in that Trump has decided what he's going to do with everything.
Right.
And apologising and arse-licking is going to do nothing except build this man's already monumental ego to overflowing. So what was that performance in the Oval Office? It was so that they could turn to the American people and say, look how rude and disrespectful he was to America. Yeah. That's it. We're not going to help them anymore. Because they don't want to help them anymore. Because they're in the pocket of Russia. They love Russia. Yeah. They love Putin. They want the money. They want the minerals. They want Russia to help them with China.
Can I just say the whole world?
This is my opinion.
The whole world
just as
is absolutely fucked. And look, in other news, America is putting pressure on Russia to put pressure on Iran to come to the bargaining table and negotiating table over Iran's nuclear.
Maybe it will all just turn out. Everyone will end up just being.
Maybe everyone will cancel everyone.
Maybe everybody will cancel and go, should we just all be nice again?
It's like a wraparound handshake.
Listen, what about somebody went, you know what, guys? Nobody's going to win here. Why don't we just all calm down?
Oh, well, yeah, the fly in that ointment, Nads, is this. China says it is ready for any type of war with the US. Now, I read a really interesting piece today, just briefly on this, just to make us all go to bed feeling absolutely petrified.
No, we don't want to do that. Don't do that.
Well,
no.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll talk about something else after this so that we don't feel so petrified.
Well, we don't have to petrify
anyone. By all
anyone,
accounts,
just
I
say
didn't
the
realise
facts.
any Sino historians here, Chinese historians here, he's been running down their economy and stockpiling certain things like copper, steel, iron, and everything. He's running down the economy in China, or getting the economy in China to a point of degradation so that when they go onto a war footing, there's no shock to the system. And so the civilian and the civilians and population of China don't feel such a lurching change.
Who said this?
This is analysis by various global political pundits.
Really?
If you think about it, Russia has done something very similar. He's ground the Russian economy down to a place where there's going to be no shock or surprise if the war broadens or widens or expands. And where has this come from? From China? This has come from Trump slapping 25%, etc. Tariffs on Chinese goods, as well as Canadian, as well as Mexican. China came back. But then in response to China saying they're ready for war, Hegskith, the guy with the sort of fascistic tattoo on his chest, went on the news and said this.
Wrapped up last night. This was posted by the Chinese embassy. quote, if war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end. As Secretary of Defense, how do you take that?
Well, we're prepared. Those who long for peace must prepare for war. That's why we're rebuilding our military. That's why we're reestablishing deterrence and the warrior ethos, is because we live in a dangerous world with powerful ascendant countries with very different ideologies. You mentioned defense spending. They're rapidly increasing their defense spending. Modern technology. They want to supplant the United States. If we want to deter war with the Chinese or others, we have to be strong. And that president understands peace comes through strength. He also has a great relationship with that gentleman right there, too, Xi Jinping. So where we can partner, where we can cooperate to recognize that we don't want war with China, we don't seek that war, we will. And the president has sought historic peace and historic opportunities. But my job as the Secretary of Defense is to make sure we're ready. We need the defense spending, the capabilities.
Oh my God!
Hang on, let's just pause for a second. Why we're adopting a warrior ethos?
A warrior ethos, didn't you say?
Warrior ethos. Oh my
God!
Christ.
He is the real Pitts, isn't he?
Oh,
He's the real. Do you know how this guy got the job? Because he used to love Trump on Fox, so Fox loves people who love him.
Do you fancy a bit of
hang on, what was this that MeTube said there? I didn't know whether it was going to give me hope or not. MeTube said something about
if US defaulted on its debts to China, there would be a global economic crisis.
There was something
it would wipe mass wealth off the Dow Jones, affecting the billionaires.
Oh,
so do you think that's what? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what worries me about all of that, though, MeTube. That was an incredibly aggressive message from China.
No, but do you think? But China.
I've never seen a message like that from China. They've never been that.
You've been saying all day they're so quiet, China.
No, they really have been. And in his whole last presidency, they'd kind of and then they'd go, "Well, we're not selling any chips." I always thought they meant fish and chips. But
they're pushing and shoving so much. They're bully boying all around the world. And do they really expect people to just stay lying down? So do you mean, MeTube, that
he
China
wouldn't risk
could say that China could say to them? China could just do it financially.
Do what?
Sorry, finish them off, go to war by just breaking them financially. They don't have to actually fight. Is that what MeTube meant?
I don't know. One could safely assume that Trump would want it to happen because he doesn't want to lose all his wealth, because it would, and China would want to do it because there's many rich people in China. But my worry is that that message from China, forget Hegseth sitting there saying all his bollocks.
Warrior
it's the message
ethos
from China that I think is a change of tack.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, could one of their weapons of war be to bring down America's finance? And could they do that?
Well,
are they in a real position?
I think they are in a position to do that, yes, but I can't believe that Trump can't see that could happen in whacking his tax. I mean, the point about
you can't understand that Trump wouldn't. Trump's blinded by his own megalomania.
But like that guy we were listening to yesterday on the radio, tariffs only make things cost more for punters.
For America, it's going to be so expensive for Americans, isn't it? And the thing is, I mean, I don't know. This is listening to lots of very clever people. I'm just regurgitating that. It's not my own analysis, but, they say that, soon that is really going to start kicking in for Americans. The Americans that voted him in because they're struggling financially, and these massive cuts in tax. He's always said he can pay for it with the tariffs, hasn't he? That's what he's always said.
This is a really good point, Jennifer Kando. Maybe China don't like America getting too friendly with Putin. Now, this is an interesting point.
Exactly.
So I think I said about a week ago, MeTube, it'd be interesting to see how I think America could be cozying up to Russia. Do you remember I said in order to have an effect on Iran, which would benefit their interests with Israel in decimating and continuing the genocide of Palestinians? Interestingly, the person who's not invited to any of this party is China. So China have been slightly left on the edges of things, going, what about us? Which is why I do think it's interesting that they have posted an incredibly, for China, who are actually very, I think, quite measured, have always been quite measured in their...
He's gone. He's done this. We're
ready for
war. He's done this. He's gone.
Do it again. And do you know what's happened in the rest of the world? Everyone's gone.
Modeman 101, hello, welcome. The trouble is, Trump and all the people he's putting in charge of things are blinded by their own hubris. Thank you for saying that word, because I always forget that word, hubris.
Yes, supremely misplaced, self-destructive pride.
Yeah, no, hubris is like, it's an actual mental health condition,
yes,
isn't it? It's like
yeah.
beyond ego, beyond.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and there is, yes, he's blinded and deafened. So when you say, surely he can think, no, because now he's in this echo chamber of glory. So like as you watched him come through Congress, they were always slapping him on the back. He really believes that this is the world seeing him like this.
How much were those eggs we got the other day?
I don't know, but eggs are bad in America. Oh my God.
Pounds.
I was
Could
watching
it be £12?
I was watching again Tim Miller the other day, and he was at the Mardi Gras talking to this guy who was very clever. I didn't know who he was. And they were talking, they showed this clip of, she must have been a Republican. She said, you know, I mean, when I think of people like struggling with the eggs, I think of chickens. And I think of all the people that could get chickens.
Yeah.
Basically, get yourself a chicken and get yourself your own eggs. And so then they was talking, they went into this whole thing about, thing is, if everyone's going to buy a chicken, chickens are going to get really expensive.
Chickens are expensive.
And then we're right back at the very first question ever. What came first? The chicken or the egg?
Oh, very good.
No.
Very good.
We've got expensive eggs, so you buy a chicken.
Yeah.
Then you buy a chicken and they're too expensive.
Chickens are too expensive.
And so now we can't have chickens or eggs.
Eggs are fucking
and what do we need
expensive.
first, the egg or the chicken?
I'm beginning to want an egg that cracks into a chicken, and then we can grow more eggs. I've just worked something out. Maybe Trump is doing the tariffs in order to totally fucking kneecap his population, get them ready for war. What you're going to have a struggle telling your entire population to get ready for war, unless what they've got is not a lot, and then they
especially
war
the whole
will give
ticket.
them more. You've got to get your population to a place where they're desirous of war, because it will give them more.
Well, this is what they
Thus,
do
the
to public,
National
isn't it?
Socialist Party.
We need to go to war because the reason you're hungry, the reason you can't pay your mortgage is because of this lot over here. That's what happens time and time again, isn't it?
Shall we end on something a little bit light-hearted?
And the thing is, I love this girl. I discovered this girl.
I was going to play you Justin Trudeau, but I can't be bothered.
She's from the same area. I always say that it wrong.
Appalachians.
She's an Appalachian, which is the place, obviously, that Vance is from. And I just love her. And this was her first sort of viral video, but she's done one more recent. Did you get the more recent one as well?
I don't know which one I get. Based on what we just got, I got the one that I don't.
With the deepest of sincerity, way deep down in my bones, from my house in the middle of Appalachia, I don't give a shit how many immigrants come here. I don't care how many immigrants come to the United States seeking a better life. One side of my family came here 5 generations ago, hopped on a boat, floated across the ocean, and ended up in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. The other side of my family came here about 3 generations ago, hopped on a boat from Ireland, and came over here searching for a better life. They gave me nothing but generational trauma and addiction issues, okay? I don't care if they come here. My issue is not with them coming here and opening up a Mexican restaurant so that they can feed people in my little town something other than damn McDonald's for dinner. I don't care how many of them come here. Because you know what? They look at this region and they still see hope, where so many people in our own country see nothing but despair. They see a way, they see hope, and a place to build a future. And they are not my enemy. Well, Danielle, what about the criminals that's bringing all the drugs? Please do yourself a favor, go down the road and buy a local newspaper, open it up and read the local arrest reports. I guarantee you won't find a single Mexican in it. It's all your cousins that's been selling meth. That's who's in it. Well, Danielle, they're stealing all the jobs. What jobs? What jobs are they stealing? Because last time I checked, everybody bitches about the fact that there ain't no jobs around here. That's why your cousin sells meth. Oh.
That's such a good one, because so often with reform, you hear people vox popped in the UK saying they take our jobs, but there aren't no jobs. So you can't have it both ways, fuck muppets.
Please follow her. She's called Danielle Kirk. I think she had a bit of a tough life, but she's smart.
Great.
This is her recently.
Listen to this.
I feel as though things escalated rather quickly for us over here. You see, when I posted that video the other day, I had 4,000 followers. I pulled it from my TikTok and thought absolutely nothing of it. But I fear as though now it's absolutely necessary for me to set the ground rules. Number one, I'm not nice. I know you might look at me and think, oh, well, she just looks like such a nice young lady. Wrong. Okay, I did not spend my entire life being bullied by my older brother and abused by my mom for me to allow some mediocre white bitch boy who would lick Donald Trump's taint be mean to me on the internet and get away with it. Second of all, I don't give a damn about what's legal and what's not. Some of my ancestors were moonshiners during Prohibition, and they would tar and feather government agents who tried to stop them. Another bunch of my ancestors were involved in this little thing called the Battle of Blair Mountain, the second largest labor uprising in United States history. The federal government dropped bombs on them because they were just so out of control. And the craziest thing of all is, I don't think y'all really give a shit about what's legal and what's not either. That's why you voted and bragged about voting for a 34th time convicted felon. Okay, miss me with the bullshit. Now, I fully recognize my final point is probably going to be the most difficult of all for you guys to swallow because you're busy on your knees for Trump. But I'm not a child. My frontal lobe is fully developed. I am 30 years old. I know that's difficult for you guys to comprehend along with a list of other things. But it's not my fault that you aged like milk. That is what hate and bitterness will do to you. It eats you from the inside out. Well, friends,
can you lots of people asking for her handle.
Yeah,
what is her
so
handle?
it's Danielle, that's with a double E, double L.
Danielle, IELLE.
Kirk, KIRKXX.
Danielle
please,
Kirk, XX.
please follow her and tell her that we highlighted her here tonight. I just think
Michi makes a really good point. This is what the Dems need, and this is something we were talking about tonight.
Smart and sassy, and you can't keep because behind the scenes, Biden.
That's it, Michi.
Yeah, you know, for me, he's just a monster.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm about to say doesn't mean that I'm saying that Trump is smart, but where Trump is smart is in his ability to capture the camera, capture the idea of entertainment, the meme. He can make people laugh. He does say the unsayable. And what the Democrats desperately need is exactly that sass. They need sass and they need satire and they need to push it back and shove it up the arse of these people who are driving the planet and America to the very, very brink of
I didn't
God
get
knows what.
bullied by my brother and abused by my mother to take any shit from you.
She's brilliant.
She's bloody
really,
brilliant.
really
She's
brilliant.
only got, she's got 48,000 followers. She
Tell everyone
deserves
to
a lot
follow her.
more.
Tell everyone to follow her. Can I just ask, just finally, as we sign off before we go to bed, where do you guys feel things are going? How do you think things are going to end up in the next 3 to 4 months? Where do you see things? And if you were to guesstimate in terms of what's happening now, what's your fear of where we'll be in 3 to 4 months' time?
The ultimate fear is death and destruction across the whole world. But my hope is that America can be as isolationist as they want and believe that they don't need another country, that they are completely able, you know, and okay, if that's what you want, do that. And then Europe strengthens and we will in some way have to gather with Europe again, because here we are, just a little island stuck out on our own, and that the world shifts a bit, because I think for so long, America has had its fingers in everything.
That final line that you just made there, because I replied to a comment that someone put under something the other day saying, look, we're just wanting to kind of do our own thing, you know, leave us alone, essentially. Now, listen, I think what I think what I think is happening here, which is really complicated. I think if we had a situation where America just wanted to look inward and just look after itself without it having any implications for anyone else in the world, given its history of being involved in everyone else's shit, I don't think that would be a problem. I think the problem now is we have fractured issues in so many other different areas of the planet, principally in the Middle East and with Iran, principally Russia and China. And as much as America might want to close the door and hermetically seal itself off and look inward and just nurture itself and self-masturbate like a nutter, there's no way they can, because in turning their back on the rest of the world, they reveal all of the mess that they've left elsewhere. And that's the danger.
I don't think they care about that.
No, they don't care about it. And they don't need to care about it. That's what I'm saying. They don't care about it. But in not caring about it, we are all left with the mess. And I do think, personally, I think we are heading towards a major conflict that will spread quite rapidly like wildfire from Europe to the Middle East to the Pacific.
Unless something.
And I can't quite work out what will stop
There's
it.
a lot of smart people somewhere. Hopefully.
Where?
Okay. That girl that I just told you about, that address I gave you was on for Instagram. It's not for YouTube. That was an Instagram. Danielle Kirk XX. Come on, let's try and get her in with the Democrats. If they were smart, they would take her on.
Reese Roberts, let's just share some of your thoughts that you've got here. Reese Roberts, and on the Dem side of things, they need to step aside, stop blocking promising progressives like Jasmine Crockett and AOC.
I know. I mean, AOC is the only one for me that seems to talk any kind of like human shit.
I'm an expat of 25 years living in California. I just want my dad to come out and visit one last time before he gets too infirm. But his partner is afraid of traveling to the US from the UK now.
Sorry. I mean, we are.
Judy.
We won't be going to the US. We feel that.
Hi, Judy. How are you, sweetie? Judy Phillips. We have 3 special elections coming up, 2 in Florida on April 1st and 1 in New York. If the Dems can win those, we can flip the House and get some control.
Oh, please, God.
Oh, fingers crossed, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. We're going to lose our healthcare and social security here, plus priciest of eggs. I know that.
I know.
Weaver.
You know, the thing is, we always hear landslide, landslide, landslide. Well, 48% of the country did not want Trump. And we always think about, and of course, some of that percentage that did vote for Trump that weren't pure, just like insane, like he's a god, were people that really did think he was going to do what he said. They were taken in, and there will be a lot of regret.
I've got a more sinister angle on this, because listening to what Rory Stewart was saying tonight about the economics of Europe, Rich says Canada 51st state, Greenland 52nd state. Only kidding. I think Europe just needs a good solid plan and be prepared to go in a different direction.
Well, I think that's what they're working on.
Well, yes, but here's a more sinister narrative. America genuinely doesn't have a united Europe's. America isn't interested in a united Europe as much as Russia isn't.
Yeah.
And if neither of those two superpowers are, how concerned are they going to be about it kicking off in Europe? Guys, anyway,
let's have a little sing song, and I think we all need to hold hands together, and I think we need to sing
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya.
Let's look at each other.
Oh, you know what? But it's America. People might think we are actually being Christians, and we're not.
No, let's look at each other.
This is just something that we sing over here when we're camping.
Whoever's nearest to you.
It's not like a religious thing.
Shush. Can everyone look to the person to the left of them?
Yes. Oh.
To your right.
Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Let's do a group hug. Kumbaya, my Lord. Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Oh, because someone's crying, my Lord. I'm not going to sing no Kumbaya. Oh, Lord.